New body style, new color, new powertrains. There is a whole long list of new from Mazda with the 2024 Mazda CX-90. Plus, it is 10 times as CX as the outgoing CX-9, whatever the heck that means. Let's go ahead and take a look. No matter how you spec your CX-90, you're getting one of 3 brand new powertrains from Mazda. You're either getting the full-on hybrid system, the plug-in hybrid version, which uses the existing 2.5-liter naturally aspirated Skyactiv motor from Mazda and pairs that with an electric motor that you can plug in at home. Or you're getting one of the 2 new Inline-Sixes. Now, this is the big news for me. Really, I've been very excited about this Inline-Six. There's a standard and there's a high output version. If your trim level has Turbo S in the name, then that's how you know it's the high output version. This one here is the high output. It is a straight 6 and it has an electric motor paired with it that is sitting between the engine and the transmission. So it's actually a mild hybrid system, and that's in either one of these Inline-Sixes. It's also going to give you an 8-speed automatic transmission. In the past, Mazda has been using 6-speed transmissions, so it's nice to get a few more gears here to help with efficiency as well as performance. This one being the high output version, it makes 340 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque. Those numbers will go down a little bit if you don't use the recommended premium gasoline. You don't have to use that. It is a recommendation, not a requirement. And if you're in one of the lower specs that does not have the Turbo S version, then regular fuel is definitely totally fine. The power from this is going through all 4 wheels. It is actually a rear biased all-wheel drive system, which is another new thing from Mazda. Usually it is a front biased system. This one is rear biased, which will help with the handling, help with performance a little bit. And in terms of fuel economy, we're looking at about 25 miles per gallon combined, which is not too shabby for something this size. And that's in the regular output or the high output version of this Inline-Six. So one of, if not the most anticipated parts of this car is this brand new powertrain here. Mazda likes to make their cars actually fun to drive, and that's a tall task with something this big, no pun intended. But we've got the brand new powertrain with the straight 6 motor, the turbocharger, mild hybrid system, a rear biased all-wheel drive system, and an 8-speed automatic instead of the traditional 6-speed that Mazda has been using all these years. So high expectations. And the first time I got into the car, I was driving it around. It does feel quick, but it does feel like it's holding back. When you hit the throttle a little bit on the harder side, it does feel like there's a lot of resistance. Feels like it's sort of easing you into things rather than just shoving you back into your seat, which is a good thing when you're driving around in normal mode. But it does sort of just feel like it's holding back a little bit. When you put it into sport mode, and it just completely opens up, and it's crazy that this thing is so big because it no longer feels like a big car when you put it into sport mode. It's very quick. It's very responsive. The transmission is also very responsive and very quick, whether you want to shift for yourself with the paddles or not. But with the mild hybrid system, it eliminates a lot of the lag, throttle lag, turbo lag. You don't have to worry about that stuff so much because the electric motor can kick in and get you moving while the turbo is spooling up or while you're trying to get off the line. And that's also really helpful in the auto start stop system. So in a mild hybrid with an auto start stop system, a lot of times, as long as you're not in that C43 I was in a few weeks ago, a mild hybrid system will really help with the auto start stop, where once you're stopped at a light, the engine will shut off. When you need to go again, you don't have to wait for it to spark back up again because that electric motor can fill in and get you moving right away. Yeah, one other note about the powertrain though is the CX-9 never felt underpowered, but the CX-90 feels legitimately quick. As always, Mazda's steering gives you a little bit more feedback than a lot of the other companies out there, especially with something this big. You're generally gonna have some like soft video game kind of steering. This actually gives you a little bit of feedback, a little bit more resistance. The other thing they have here, is the kinematic posture control, which naturally, they started out with the Miata, adding it to that for the vehicle dynamics of the Miata. And then they went from their smallest car to their biggest car as the next one to put that system in on. So what that kinematic posture control is a brake-based system that will kick in as you're going through curves and corners, that will actually help sort of balance out the back end so there's not so much roll. This thing, it's big and it does not feel huge when you're going through corners, when you're turning hard. Obviously this isn't a track car. It's not something you're going to be shoving through corners really hard all the time. But if you have to take a last minute turn, it's nice to know that it's going to be very balanced and it really kind of keeps everything together. Not a lot of body roll, and it gives you a lot of confidence as well, lots of grip, and it's a very comfortable ride. Being wider and longer than the CX-9, it's a comfortable ride. You can really feel that even on these big 21-inch wheels. And for the most part, it's quiet in here. If you're not on a super smooth road, there will be quite a bit of road noise. So that they could definitely go for some more sound deadening in here on the highway. On those long road trips, you're gonna feel that. But generally speaking, around town, even the engine is pretty muted. I wish actually that they would let the engine sort of sing a little bit more, just because I like the sound of a straight six typically. But anyway, so there, other than the ride quality, the noise level in here, the visibility around is okay. It's about what you'd expect from a 3-row. It's nice that we've got the blind spot monitoring. It's nice that we've got all these extra safety features. The systems can get a little bit intrusive. Like the front cross traffic alert thing will constantly beep at me when I'm pulling up to lights. Sometimes I'll go to make a turn and it'll beep at me like somebody's in my blind spot when there's nobody around, period. Like I said, that's been kind of consistent with Mazda. I think they need to sort of tone down the safety systems a little bit. It also has the lane centering, which is really mostly for highway driving to sort of keep you centered in your lane, so to help reduce fatigue, help if you're like, your kids are yelling at you in the back and you got to turn around for half a second. It does need a little bit of work. It will bounce a little bit from side to side, a little bit more than you would see in like Hyundai, Kia, Volkswagen system. Those are a little bit better at keeping you centered in the lane. The Mazda system definitely needs a little bit of work for keeping you centered in that lane. So generally speaking here, the driving experience, it's a very easy car to drive around. In normal mode, it just feels like it's holding back a little bit. And then if you want to drive like a maniac, pop it into sport mode and you can just let this thing loose. It really drives nicely in sport mode. Here in the second row, we're looking at heated and ventilated seats only because we are in this tip-top spec here, the Turbo S Premium Plus. You can get heated on some of the other upper trims, but ventilated is only available on this particular trim level here. Depending on which trim level you're in, you can get the pass-through here instead of the console and still have the captain's chairs, or you can get a bench seat with 3 across. And these seats slide forward and back, so if you're on the taller side, you do get to give yourself a little bit more legroom, or if you've got somebody sitting in the way back, you can actually give them a little bit of space. Got the map pockets here, we got climate control, we got USB-Cs, we got vents. The console I mentioned has some cup holders in it, as well as a little bit of space down there. And the sunroof even comes back to give the second row a little bit of light here. The second row, these captain's chairs also have the ISOFIX anchors here, the latches down below, and the anchors on the back of the seats. And over on the doors, I love this wood grain, and they've even got these nice sunshades going on. Here in the way back, it is on the tight side, but again, with these being able to move forward and back, I do have a little bit of space here. Got some cup holders here on the side, got my own USB-C, got my own vent, really not too bad. Again, with this being the top spec, it's a 6-seater, so I only have 2 across going on back here. but you can get 3 across, so you can get up to a 7 or an 8-seater. Note in this configuration with the 2-seater back here, you do not get the ISOFIX latches on the left side. They are only on the right side, so if you do have a child seat that has to latch in to those latches down on the bottom of the seat, then they are only going to fit over here. They both have the anchors on the back of the seats, just only one has those lower latches. But at least there is some space and there are a few amenities going on. Up all the way in the front here, this cockpit area, Mazda has really been pushing up market, and it is very, very apparent from here with the nice leather wrapped steering wheel here with the tan and the black, the suede going on, the wood trim, more suede going on here, and the metal, the leather wrap. It really just looks classy. It looks nice. It looks like it's a much higher price point. Even though the price point is actually starting to push up there. Here we're at 60 grand in this fully loaded out version of the Mazda CX-90. But it is competing with luxury at this point, at this price point. And I think overall they're really very, very close to really competing with that stuff in terms of features. But they've got this nicely laid out steering wheel, your typical sort of Mazda layout with easy access to your infotainment settings, to your adaptive cruise settings, to some of your safety settings. You've got buttons and switches for the HVAC, for the heated and ventilated seats, for the heated steering wheel. You can control the center and the back HVAC from here as well. The gauge cluster here, we do have a nice big digital gauge cluster going on. This will be a little bit smaller if you're in one of the lower specs. You'll get the 7-inch. Your tach, your speedometer, your range, a little bit of extra information like fuel economy. You can see your active sense status here. There's a compass. There's not really too much you can cycle through. I do wish that they would give you a few more options for customization here, but that's sort of been Mazda's MO in the past as well, so nothing different there. But they do have, when you enable your lane centering or your adaptive cruise, then you get this other sort of view that sort of opens things up and just shows you what's going on around you. You've got a little picture of the car, and it'll show you little blocks for the cars that are going on around you. You know, just it's a good layout here for some of your safety, for some of that driver awareness sort of stuff going on. And we've got the heads-up display as well, which is also good information for, you know, just things that are happening. It doesn't show the blocks moving around like the Hyundai and Kia ones do. Those are only down here, but it will show you your current speed. It will show you your speed limit. It'll show you if you have your adaptive cruise set. It'll show you if you have your lane centering set on. It'll show you if there's someone in your blind spot, as well as in the mirror, as well as down here. You know, the heads-up display is very informative. It's very well laid out, so I do think that that's a little bit more worth it. You got the nice big infotainment screen here. This is a 12-inch screen. If you're in one of the lower specs, you're gonna get the 10.25-inch screen. But it's your typical Mazda infotainment here with the knobs and the buttons down here to control everything. You know, I've gone over that in a few of my other videos. People that own Mazdas seem to tell me, you know, that they get used to it and they wouldn't go back to anything else. Sometimes I find it a little cumbersome, sometimes it's okay. The biggest place I have a problem with the knob and button system is when I'm in Android Auto. It's just a little bit tough to sort of navigate around. It wasn't built for that. For using knobs and buttons, it was built for using a touchscreen. And luckily, Mazda has actually added a setting in here to allow you to use the touchscreen even when you're moving for Android Auto. So that is a nice thing to see. You do have to enable that, but the screen is still back and it's still sunken down a little bit. So it's not super easy to get to, but it is at least nice that they do give you the option to touch for Android Auto, for Apple CarPlay. We've got nav information in here. We've got settings. You can adjust all your safety settings, your sound settings, your driver personalization settings if you want to set up your driver profile. There's even a setting in here that will put you in your ideal driving position. It'll put the seat in, depending on what you enter for your height, you just select your height and it'll move the whole seat around. I tried that out and I was not exactly into the position that it put me in. Let me see if I can set that up real quick. So first off, whoever driver one is doing it wrong, because this is not an ideal driving position for anyone. I'm 5'7". It's gonna move the wheel. Apparently this is my ideal driving position. I don't know about that one, Mazda. I'm a little bit too far back here, a little bit too close with the knees, a little too far leaned back here. But at least this is power adjustable. It's got the lumbar support. You know, if we're really pushing up market, it would be nice to have more adjustments in the seat. It would be nice to have massage seats, something a little bit more premium feeling, but we do have the heat, we do have the ventilation, we do have very comfortably bolstered seats. We do have, these are Napa leather. There are a few different options here. There's a quilted Napa leather, there's a regular Napa leather, there's a regular leather, there is the leatherette. There are no cloth seats in the CX-90, but if you're, I said this in the Telluride video as well, if you're packed full of kids in here, they're making a mess, the leatherette or the leather are going to be a little bit easier to maintain, a little bit easier to keep clean. We do have the Bose sound system in this one. It is a 12 speaker Bose sound system. It is a good system. Again, if we're really pushing up market, we got to see more speakers. We got to see something higher end. Bang & Olufsen, Bowers & Wilkins, something like really high end. I would love to see as an option. Maybe not, doesn't need to be standard, but would love to see some higher end options. Your camera, this does have the 360 view because it's one of the upper specs. And you can go through all your different settings here where you can see out the sides, you can see out the front, you can see out the back. You can even set it up so that when you start up the car, you can see what's right in front of you. It's nicely laid out. It does feel like luxury, like it's pushing luxury, and it just a few more options in here, and I think they're really close. I think they're almost there. But generally speaking, for a $60,000 car with a 3-row with a big engine like this is a really, really classy, really, really nice spot. From the side here, this thing is a big boy. It's only about 2 inches longer than the outgoing CX-9 though. But if you look at the wheelbase is 122 inches, which is much longer than the CX-9's 115-inch wheelbase, which means you're going to get better ride quality. You're going to get a better, more planted feel when you're driving around. So I love that they did that. And we've got these nice big 21s on this, these diamond cut wheels. I love that they didn't make it all black. I don't understand the trend with the black wheels because then you can't see the design in them. So I love that they left a little bit of the design here visible by going with this silver look here. And we're wrapped in all seasons, no matter whether you're on the 19s or the 21s, depending on what trim level, you're always going to be on all seasons. You can get black wheel arches if you're in one of the other trim levels. Gives it a little bit more of an off-roady, rugged look, I guess. But this one here, this Premium Plus, is a little bit more going for that elegance, that nice sort of look, that premium feel. And this, again, with this sort of chrome silver color down here and across here, that is because we are in this particular trim level, this Premium Plus trim level. The honeycomb and just Inline-Six written across there, but I love it. I would buy a t-shirt with that on it. That is also only in the upper specs, which is sort of interesting. I thought that would just be on all of the cars that came with the Inline-Six. This Artisan Red color that we're looking at, this is brand new for 2024 as well, for just developed for large platform vehicles, Mazda says, just to go for this sort of elegant look. I still am a soul red crystal metallic kind of guy, but this thing looks beautiful in this Artisan Red. These mirrors here are gonna be body colored or black, depending on the trim level. You get the LED turn signals, you get heated mirrors no matter what, and they have blind spot monitoring in them as well, no matter what trim level. This particular one has the power folding as well, and this one is auto dimming on the driver's side because we are in one of these upper specs here. As you can see, we've got keyless entry with keyless lock and unlock, and we've got the aluminum rails. We've got more of this silver chrome trim here around the edges. Love the way this thing looks. From the front end here, we have a pretty classic Mazda look to it, but it's got a little bit more elegance to it. I love the sort of contour through the hood. I love these nice big lights. These look really beautiful, and these are actually adaptive when you get into the upper specs here. You're going to get LEDs no matter what, LEDs with auto headlights, auto high beams. You've got LED daytime running lights as well. But to get to those adaptive lights that'll help you in the corners, you're going to have to be in one of the upper trims like this one here. I love this bright sort of chrome colored stuff going on through here. Again, that's going to be different depending on the trim level. It might be black, it might be body colored, but in this particular trim level, this is the Premium Plus Turbo S. It's going to be this sort of bright chrome color as well as down here. I love that they've got all this venting through here. This is all real venting. There's even venting down here for the brakes, for the wheels. And we've got the parking sensors going on because, again, this is one of those upper specs that has those parking sensors, as well as the front camera here. Again, only on the upper trim levels. Really nice looking front end, especially with this chrome through here. For the back end here, we got a little subtle spoiler thing going on. We do have a rear wiper, no matter what trim. Love to see that rear wiper, super helpful. LED taillights going on, no matter what trim. Got the Skyactiv-G, because this is the Skyactiv-G with the mild hybrid. And of course, it is all-wheel drive because all of the CX-90s are all-wheel drive. Now, this is a power liftgate, no matter what trim you're in. You do get a hands-free power liftgate if you are in one of the upper trim levels, but it is power no matter what, which is a nice touch. And we've got the same sort of dinky little Mazda key. Mazda's got to step up their key game here. And this opens up into 14.9 cubic feet of space if you have the 3 across in the back. This one being the 2 across in the back is at 15.9 cubic feet of space, so you get a little bit of extra space. Those are the numbers from Mazda. And underneath here, got a little bit of room for tools, and then underneath the tools we do actually have a spare tire, which I love to see. Not going to be stranded with a fix-a-flat kit. And if you want to drop these seats down nice and easy, just pull this and shove that down. I do wish that you could drop those second rows like it had in that Telluride. That was a really nice feature. There was just a button right here to drop the second row as well. Shove stuff in there if you need to. But this one, you have to go around to get that second row dropped down and then button to close right here. So at the end of the day here, you know, it's the new powertrain is great. I love this powertrain. I love it in sport mode, especially. This thing moves like something this big should not be able to move. Absolutely killed it there. I do wish that the motor was, you know, it sounded a little bit nicer. I wish it was a little bit louder, but again, being in this sort of elegant 3-row crossover thing, I do understand why they sort of muted it down. It drives nice. It's fun to drive. The driver's assist features need a little bit of work. The interior is very well done. If they're really pushing up market, if they're really trying to compete up market, then, you know, more features like massage and thigh adjusters and, you know, some more adjustment. And I would really like to see a really high-end sound system option here. But outside of that, you know, for the price point, for what this is competing against, this is a really great car, and it's one that you should definitely be checking out if you want a 3-row that's actually enjoyable to drive. As always, thanks for watching. Be sure to hit like, hit share, hit all the YouTube things. It will really help me feed my car obsession, getting into new cars, bringing you all these new cars and information about them. If there's something that I missed, let me know down in the comments, or if you have any other general questions. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.